So the Russia report, something which, well, looking back and considering what we're facing now, I think we are seeing a lot, and I mean a lot of Conservative MPs with egg squarely, fairly on their face. Many of the Conservative MPs dismissed it, says that even after the report recommended that there needed to be a proper and open investigation into some of these allegations and looking into really what was going on, nothing was done. And you may remember, of course, in the lead up to obviously the next election, Boris Johnson played constantly on defense, delaying the report, stopping it being released at least 2 to 3 times from what I recall. So it is very, very clear something is going on in the Tory party. Something is evidently going on. We've seen that with Ledbetter, Ledbetter, I think that's how you say it. The Russian again, former, I think he was a son or he was a former KGB agent, given a peerage, and the security services were dead set against giving him a peerage and giving him sort of access to that level of British political life. And hopefully soon we are actually going to see what the recommendations of the security service actually were, what they actually had to say about that. Thank you very much to, again, the Labour Party for bringing that up. Something which, again, the Tories, the vast majority of them, basically just didn't even turn up. In fact, 2 of them turned up to it, and that was essentially it. This is, of course, the problem when you've got a massive majority of a Tory party that thinks they can, well, just get away and do whatever the hell they like. But, of course, that's democracy for you sometimes. That's just how the penny drops sometimes. But there has been an update on this, and I would be actually interested to see where this goes, because I'm not really sure if this will really have any effect if it goes to the European Court of Justice, which, again, some MPs are now taking the this to the European Human Rights Court as a dereliction of duty by the British government to not investigate the findings of the Russia report, or by ordering an investigation into some of the allegations that it came up with and came out with. So how this goes, who knows? But needs to say, this will probably be again another very, very embarrassing situation for the government around this. So before we go jumping into this, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, pardon me, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a donation link called Buy Me Coffee. You can buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel that way. So this comes from The Guardian with the title of MPs Take the Russian Election Interference Case to Human Rights Court. A coalition of MPs and peers from a host of different parties is using the European Court of Human Rights to challenge the alleged failure to investigate the Russian interference in UK elections. And again, hey, if they're refusing to do it, then hey, let's take them to court somewhere. Again, obviously this is the European Human Rights Court. I'm not really much sure what jurisdiction they would have, and depending on how they rule, what enforcement action they could take. The legal action has been obviously lodged in response to the UK's government's refusal to order an inquiry into the findings of the Russia report, published by the Intelligence and Security Committee back in July of 2020, which reported credible evidence of attempts by Russians to interfere in the UK's electoral processes. So you would think if you were a UK government, you might probably want to investigate what was going on there. But the Conservatives aren't interested. The parliamentary group bringing the action includes Labour MP Ben Bradshaw, the former leader of the Green Party, Caroline Lucas, SNP MP Alan Smith, and Lord Strasburger of the Lib Dems, and of course the former Tory peer, Lady Wheatcroft. The group claims the government is in breach of Article 3 of the First Protocol of the European Convention on Human Rights, which requires regular, free, secret ballot elections to ensure the free election, the free expression of the opinion of the people. Lucas, the MP for Brighton Pavilion, said that as President Putin wages a war of terror on the Ukrainian people, he's been waging another war on a very different principles of democracy. The Russia report is clear. There is credible evidence of Russian interference in the UK electoral process, and yet our government has constantly refused to investigate these serious conclusions. And again, why aren't they doing this? This is the big question that really should be asked. Why aren't you investigating this stuff? They had one in in America. I think it took about 3 years. But if there really is, quote, nothing to see there, as many of the conservatives say, then why the blocking? Why not have this investigation? Just let it be put to bed once and for all. The Russia report, and again, the declaration of Russian interference in the UK's is now, quote, the new normal. And the report reported credible attempts to interfere with the UK's electoral processes from at least the time of the EU referendum back in 2016. The ICS called for an investigation and an urgent update of legal and institutional framework to protect those processes from foreign interference. And again, nothing's been done about them. When the government did not act again on these recommendations, the cross-parliamentary group joined forces with the non-profit journalism organisation Citizens to file an application for judicial review back in August of 2020. For permission for a judicial review was refused by the High Court, and the group's application for permission to appeal was turned down by the Court of Appeal. Lucas said, "We now have no other option but to take that case to the European Court of Human Rights in order to try and force the government to undertake a full investigation into the evidence. Otherwise, we jeopardize the fair and free elections that we all hold dear, and allows Putin to believe that once again he can get away with hostile state interference in our democracy, in our democratic processes." There we go. I'll say it. So ultimately, yeah, I completely agree with what Lucas has said there. If you've got a report that comes out from a parliamentary group saying that there is credible evidence of Russian interference, why not act on it? Why not investigate it? Why not look at it? It doesn't make sense that you're just ignoring it. Stradberg said, "For some time, it has been obvious that Putin has infiltrated the British establishment and our government, and predictably, Boris Johnson has delayed the publication of the Russia report as long as he could, and then ignored its excellent recommendations. Likewise, he again declined to try and tackle the tsunami of dirty money the Russian oligarchs have allowed to be laundered in London, and only moved against it when the Ukrainian crisis meant that he had no choice. Even then, he did as little as he could to try and get away with and give the oligarchs very ample time to try and speed their assets out of the country. It is high time to deal with these vipers' nests, and hopefully this legal action will lead to full exposure." Again, I completely agree with his comments on that. It is high time this had happened. And I completely agree with his comments about the Russian money. We've known about this for years. And it was only when, obviously, Russia invaded Ukraine that he was left with no choice but to actually go forward and do this. And even then, it was delay and delay and delay. So the long-delayed Russia report, again, found that the British government and the intelligence agencies failed to conduct any proper assessment of Kremlin attempts to interfere with the 2016 referendum. And again, it said that the government, quote, had not seen or sought evidence of successful interference in the UK democratic process at that time, and made it clear that no serious effort was made to do so. So this again is not surprising. It is not surprising at all. It is very obvious that there is something rotten in the Conservative Party government, and I'm not just talking about Boris Johnson, although it is probably certainly at the heart of a lot of this rot. This rot has been going on for quite some time, and it's about time we dealt with it. Otherwise, Boris is going around saying, acting all this tough on Putin when he refuses to even look or even have an inquiry about all this evidence that we have from the Russia report. So, where do we go from here? Where do we go? Is the next election going to be jeopardized? How much? Could the Tories suddenly turn around and say, well, the only reason we lost was Russian interference? And then you're like, what? Um, it's the mind boggles. The mind really does boggle. But yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for tuning in. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and of course, comment below down your opinions down below as well. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.